Captain Jake Martinez stared at the star charts on his ship's main screen. The New Horizon had been traveling through empty space for 3 weeks now. Their mission was simple but boring. They were supposed to map this part of the galaxy and look for anything interesting. So far, they had found nothing but rocks and gas clouds. Lisa Parker sat at the navigation station. She was good at her job, but lately she looked tired. Sam Rodriguez worked at the engineering console. He kept the ship running perfectly, but even he seemed bored. Dr. Amy Watson was in the medical bay. She had nothing to do because nobody was sick or hurt. Jake rubbed his eyes and looked at the charts again. The Galactic Federation had sent them to survey the Kepler 442 system. According to the records, this area was dead space, no intelligent life, no valuable resources. No reason for anyone to visit, but Jake believed in being thorough. That was why he was a good captain. The ship moved closer to the third planet in the system. Jake could see it was blue and green. It looked like Earth, but smaller. The computer said it had breathable air and normal gravity, perfect for human life. But the Federation records said nobody lived there. Lisa turned to face Jake. Her voice was quiet. "Something is wrong, Captain. I am picking up energy readings from the planet's surface. Very faint, but they are there. The computer says they look like power generators and communication arrays." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was the first interesting thing they had found in months. He called Sam to the bridge. The young engineer arrived quickly. His dark hair was messy from working in the engine room. "What do you think, Sam? Could those readings be natural phenomena?" Sam studied the data for several minutes. His face showed concentration. "No, sir. These are definitely artificial. Someone built machines down there. The patterns are too regular to be natural." Jake made his decision. "Take us into orbit, Lisa. We need a closer look." The New Horizon moved toward the planet. As they got closer, the readings became stronger. There were definitely people living down there. Dr. Amy Watson came to the bridge. She was a small woman with blonde hair and kind eyes. "Captain, I am reading life signs from multiple locations. The patterns suggest organized settlements. There could be thousands of people living on that planet." Jake felt confused. The Federation records clearly stated this system was empty. How could an entire civilization exist here without anyone knowing about it? He ordered Lisa to scan for any communication signals. Maybe the people down there were trying to talk to someone. After an hour of scanning, Lisa shook her head. "I am not picking up any outgoing transmissions, Captain. Their communication equipment seems to be damaged or very weak, but I am detecting internal communications between different settlements on the planet." Jake decided they needed to learn more. He called the crew together in the main meeting room. The 4 of them sat around a small table. Jake spread out the sensor data in front of them. "Here is what we know. There is a human colony on this planet. They have settlements in at least 5 different locations. They have basic technology, but their communication systems are not working properly. The Federation thinks this system is empty, but clearly they are wrong." Sam looked at the data carefully. "Captain, these power readings are very weak. Much weaker than they should be for a healthy colony. I think they are having serious technical problems." Amy nodded in agreement. The life sign patterns suggest a population under stress. They might be struggling with food production or medical supplies. These people could be in real trouble. Jake felt a sense of responsibility growing in his chest. Here was a human colony that had been forgotten by the galaxy. They were struggling to survive and nobody even knew they existed. He could not just walk away from this situation. Lisa spoke up. "Captain, what are your orders? Do we report this to the Federation and continue our mission?" Jake thought for a long moment. The Federation would want to follow proper protocols. That could take months or even years. These people might not have that much time. He made a decision that would change everything. "We are going down there. These are our people and they need help. We can worry about protocols later. Prepare the shuttle. We make contact today." The crew worked quickly to prepare for landing. Sam checked all the shuttle systems twice. Amy packed medical supplies and emergency food rations. Lisa plotted a safe landing course to the largest settlement. As the shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, Jake looked out the window. He could see fields of crops and small buildings. Smoke rose from chimneys. People were definitely living down there, but everything looked old and worn. Many buildings had damage that had not been repaired. The shuttle landed in a cleared area, near the main settlement. Jake could see people watching from a safe distance. They looked curious but cautious. Some of them carried tools that could be used as weapons if needed. Jake stepped out of the shuttle first. He raised his hands to show he was not armed. 3. People approached slowly. The leader was a woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She wore simple clothes that had been repaired many times. "My name is Kate Sullivan. I am the administrator of New Haven Colony. Who are you and why are you here?" Jake smiled and tried to look friendly. "I am Captain Jake Martinez of the Exploration, ship New Horizon. We detected your settlement from space. We came to see if you needed help." Kate's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Jake like he was a miracle. "You mean someone finally found us? After all these years, someone actually found us." Jake felt his heart break a little. "How long have you been alone here, Kate?" 22 years, Captain." 22 long years since anyone from the outside made contact. We thought the galaxy had forgotten about us completely. The other colonists began to gather around. Jake could see hope growing in their faces. These people had been abandoned and left to struggle alone, but they had survived. They had kept going when anyone else might have given up, Sam whispered to Jake. "Captain, look at what they have built here. With almost no resources, they have created a functioning society. These people are incredible." Jake nodded. He was beginning to understand that they had found something very special here. Not just a lost colony, but a group of humans who had refused to quit no matter how hard things became. Kate looked at the shuttle and then back at Jake. "Captain Martinez, can you really help us? Do you have the authority to bring us back into contact with the Federation?" Jake met her eyes directly. "Kate, I promise you that your people will never be forgotten again. We are going to fix this situation and make sure you get all the help you need." For the first time in years, Kate smiled with real joy. Kate Sullivan led Jake and his crew through the main settlement of New Haven. The buildings were simple but well-maintained. Jake could see that the colonists had worked hard to keep their community alive. Children played in the streets, while adults worked in gardens and workshops. Amy Watson carried her medical bag and looked around with concern. "Captain, I can see signs of malnutrition in some of the children. Also, several adults appear to have injuries that were not properly treated. These people need medical attention." Sam Rodriguez examined the power lines and equipment as they walked. "The engineering is impressive, Captain. They have kept their basic systems running with almost no replacement parts. But everything is wearing out. They need new equipment soon or their infrastructure will fail completely." Kate heard their comments and nodded sadly. "We have done our best, but we are fighting a losing battle. Every year things get a little worse. We patch what we can, but we cannot replace what is completely broken." They reached the center of the settlement, where a large building served as the colony headquarters. Kate invited them inside and called for the other settlement leaders to join them. Soon the room filled with tired but hopeful faces. Pete Johnson was the chief engineer for the colony. He was a thin man with calloused hands who looked like he had not slept well in years. Ben Clark managed the agricultural operations. His clothes were dirty from working in the fields, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. Maria Santos ran the manufacturing workshop where colonists made tools and equipment from salvaged materials. Kate spoke to the group. "Everyone, this is Captain Martinez and his crew from the Federation ship New Horizon. They found us, and they want to help." Pete Johnson leaned forward eagerly. "Captain, do you have any spare parts for a communications array? Our main transmitter was damaged in the solar storm 22 years ago. We have been trying to fix it ever since, but we are missing critical components." Jake looked at Sam, who nodded. "We should have what you need, Pete. Our ship carries standard communication equipment. Sam can work with you to get your transmitter operational again." Ben Clark spoke up next. "Captain, we have managed to keep food production stable, but our medical supplies are almost gone. Dr. Watson, could you look at our sick and injured people? We have several cases that are beyond our ability to treat." Amy stepped forward immediately. "Of course, Ben. I brought emergency medical supplies with me. Show me to your medical facility and I will start treating patients right away." Maria Santos had been quiet, but now she spoke. "Captain Martinez, why did the Federation abandon us? We sent distress signals for months after the solar storm. Did anyone ever receive our calls for help? Jake felt uncomfortable with this question. He had read the Federation files on this system. According to the records, New Haven Colony had gone silent after the solar storm and was presumed lost. No rescue missions had been sent because the Federation assumed everyone was dead. Maria, the truth is that the Federation believed your colony had failed completely. When your communications went dark, they marked this system as uninhabited. No one knew you were still alive and working to rebuild. Kate's face showed anger for the first time, so they just wrote us off. 22 years of struggle and survival, and they never even sent a single ship to check on us. Jake chose his words carefully. Kate, I cannot defend that decision, but I can promise you that things will be different now. We are going to make sure the Federation knows what happened here and that you receive all the support you deserve. Lisa Parker had been studying data on her portable scanner. Captain, I am detecting 4 other settlements on this planet. Should we make contact with them as well? Pete Johnson answered. Yes, there are 4 other communities. We maintain radio contact with all of them. After the solar storm, we decided to spread out in case of future disasters. Each settlement specializes in different things, but we work together as one colony. Jake was impressed by their organization. These people had not just survived, but had actually improved their situation. They had learned from the disaster that cut them off and had made themselves stronger. Over the next several days, Jake's crew worked closely with the colonists. Sam spent long hours with Pete Johnson rebuilding the main communications array. They cannibalized parts from the New Horizons backup systems and combined them with components the colonists had salvaged over the years. Amy Watson set up a temporary medical clinic in the colony's community center. She treated everything from broken bones that had healed incorrectly to infections that could have been easily cured with proper antibiotics. The colonists were grateful, but also embarrassed that they needed so much help. Lisa Parker worked with the settlement leaders to map out the locations and capabilities of all 5 communities. She was amazed by what they had accomplished. Each settlement had developed specialties that supported the others. One focused on agriculture while another concentrated on manufacturing. The 3rd settlement mined minerals while the 4th processed them into useful materials. The 5th settlement served as a transportation hub connecting all the others. Jake spent his time learning about the colony's government and social structure. Kate Sullivan had been elected as the overall administrator, but each settlement maintained significant autonomy. Decisions affecting the entire colony required consensus from all 5 community leaders. Ben Clark explained their system during one of their evening meetings. Captain, we learned that centralized control makes a colony vulnerable. If something happens to the leadership, everyone suffers. Our distributed approach means that each community can survive independently if necessary, but we are stronger when we work together. Jake found himself deeply impressed by what these people had built. They had taken a disaster that should have destroyed them and used it to create something better than what they had before. Their technology was simpler but more reliable. Their government was more democratic and responsive. Their society was more resilient and self-sufficient. On the 4th day, Sam and Pete successfully restored the main communications array. The moment when they re-established contact with the Galactic Communication Network was emotional for everyone. Several colonists cried openly when they heard voices from other worlds for the first time in over 20 years. Amy had finished treating the most serious medical cases and was training local volunteers in basic medical procedures. She was also working with Maria Santos to set up a small pharmaceutical manufacturing operation using local plants that had medicinal properties. Lisa had completed her survey of all 5 settlements and was helping them establish a planet-wide communication network. The settlements had maintained radio contact, but now they could share data and coordinate activities much more efficiently. Jake knew that his crew had made a real difference, but he also knew their work was just beginning. The colonists needed more than emergency repairs and medical treatment. They needed official recognition from the Federation and long-term support to continue developing their society. On their last evening before returning to the New Horizon, Kate gathered the entire community for a celebration. The colonists had prepared a feast using food they had grown themselves. The mood was happy, but also bittersweet. Kate stood up to address the crowd. Friends, we have lived through 22 years of isolation and struggle. We never lost hope that someone would find us. But honestly, there were times when that hope grew very thin. Captain Martinez and his crew have not just fixed our equipment and treated our sick. They have reminded us that we are not alone in this galaxy. They have shown us that humans do not abandon each other. The crowd cheered, and Jake felt tears in his eyes. These people had every right to be bitter about being forgotten, but instead, they were grateful for help and determined to move forward. Jake stood up to respond. Kate, you and your people have shown incredible courage and determination. You have built something here that the entire galaxy should know about. I promise you that your story will be told and that you will receive the recognition and support you deserve. As Jake and his crew prepared to return to their ship, he knew that this mission had changed all of them. They had found more than a lost colony. They had found proof that humans could overcome any challenge if they refused to give up on each other. Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, staring at the incoming message from Federation Command. 3 weeks had passed since they had reported their discovery of the New Haven colony. The response had finally arrived, and it was not what Jake had hoped for. Lisa Parker read the message aloud. Captain Martinez, you are ordered to maintain position and await the arrival of Federation Task Force 7 under the command of Admiral Zextar. Do not interfere with colonial operations until the task force arrives. Estimated arrival time is 6 days. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his engineering station. Captain, that does not sound good. Why would they send a task force instead of a relief mission? Jake had a bad feeling about this. He had served in the Federation military long enough to know what task forces were used for. They were not sent to help colonies. They were sent to deal with problems. Amy Watson came to the bridge carrying her daily medical report from the planet's surface. Captain, the colonists are asking when the Federation relief ships will arrive. They are excited about reconnecting with galactic civilization. What should I tell them? Jake decided to be honest with his crew and with the colonists. Amy, tell them that Federation officials are coming, but we do not know yet what their intentions are. Tell Kate that we will support the colony no matter what happens. The next 6 days passed slowly. Jake and his crew continued working with the colonists, but everyone could feel the tension building. The New Haven people were nervous about meeting Federation officials after being ignored for over 20 years. Kate Sullivan called Jake down to the planet's surface the day before the task force was scheduled to arrive. She had gathered all 5 settlement leaders in the main community center. Their faces showed worry and determination. Captain Martinez, we have been discussing what might happen when the Federation arrives. Pete Johnson has been monitoring galactic news broadcasts since you restored our communications. What he learned is troubling. Pete Johnson stood up and activated a wall display. Captain, over the past 20 years, the Federation has changed. They have closed dozens of frontier colonies and moved the populations to more established worlds. They claim it is more efficient and cost-effective than supporting isolated settlements. Ben Clark added his concerns. Captain, we have read about other colonies that were rediscovered like ours. In most cases, the Federation decided the colonies were not viable and ordered evacuations. The colonists were relocated whether they wanted to leave or not. Maria Santos spoke next. Captain Martinez, we do not want to leave New Haven. This is our home. We have spent over 20 years building something good here. We will not abandon it without a fight. Jake felt his heart sink. He had suspected this might happen, but had hoped the Federation would see the value in what the colonists had accomplished. These people had created a successful society under impossible circumstances. They deserved support, not relocation. Kate looked directly at Jake. Captain, we know you have done everything you can for us. We understand that you have orders to follow. But we need to know where you stand. Will you support us if we refuse to leave our home? Jake did not hesitate. Kate, I will do everything in my power to help you stay here. What you have built is remarkable and should be preserved. I cannot promise I can change the Federation's mind, but I will try. The next morning, 6 Federation ships dropped out of hyperspace near New Haven. Jake recognized the configuration immediately. This was not a relief mission. It was an enforcement operation designed to impose Federation authority on a situation. Admiral Zextar contacted the New Horizon within an hour of arriving. The Admiral was a member of the hegemony species. He was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. His voice was cold and formal when he spoke. Captain Martinez, report to my flagship immediately for briefing. Bring all data regarding the colonial situation. Jake took a shuttle to the Admiral's ship, feeling like he was walking into a trap. The Federation flagship was massive and intimidating. Everything about it was designed to show power and authority. Admiral Zextar met Jake in a sterile conference room. 2 other officers were present, but they did not introduce themselves. The Admiral got straight to business. Captain Martinez, your discovery of this colony has created a significant problem. According to Federation regulations, any colony that loses contact for more than 10 years is automatically classified as failed. The colonists should have been evacuated decades ago. Jake tried to argue. Admiral, with respect, these people have not failed. They have created a thriving society under extremely difficult circumstances. They deserve support, not evacuation. Admiral Zextar's expression did not change. Captain, the Federation cannot afford to support every isolated settlement that claims to be viable. These colonists will be relocated to established worlds where they can contribute to galactic civilization more effectively. Jake felt anger growing in his chest. Admiral, these people do not want to be relocated. This is their home. They have rights. The Admiral's voice became even colder. Captain Martinez, the Federation determines what is best for its citizens. Individual preferences are less important than overall efficiency. The colonists have 30 days to prepare for evacuation. After that, anyone who refuses to leave will be removed by force. Jake left the Admiral's ship knowing that a confrontation was inevitable. When he returned to New Haven, he found the entire community gathered in the main square. News of the Federation's decision had already spread. Kate Sullivan stood on a platform addressing the crowd. Friends, we have faced disasters before, and we have survived by working together. The Federation wants to take our home away from us, but we will not let that happen. We have 30 days to prove that New Haven deserves to exist. The crowd cheered, but Jake could see fear in many faces. These people had survived solar storms and equipment failures and food shortages, but now they faced the full power of galactic government, and that was a different kind of threat. Pete Johnson approached Jake after the meeting. Captain, what can we do? How do we fight the entire Federation? Jake thought carefully before answering. Pete, we cannot fight them with weapons, but we can fight them with facts. We need to document everything you have accomplished here. We need to show them that New Haven is not a burden, but an asset. Amy Watson joined the conversation. Captain, I have been analyzing the medical data from all 5 settlements. These people are healthier and live longer than the average Federation citizen. Their lifestyle and diet are actually superior to what most people have on established worlds. Sam Rodriguez added his observations. Captain, their engineering solutions are brilliant. They have achieved sustainability that most colonies never reach. Their recycling systems are more efficient than anything I have seen on major worlds. Lisa Parker had been studying population data. Captain, if the Federation relocated these colonists to established worlds, they would lose everything that makes their society special. Their democratic government, their environmental sustainability, their community spirit would all disappear in standard Federation housing projects. Jake realized that his crew had come to the same conclusion he had reached. What the colonists had built on New Haven was not just viable, but valuable. It represented a better way of organizing human society. Over the next week, Jake and his crew worked with the colonists to prepare a comprehensive presentation. They documented the colony's achievements in agriculture, engineering, medicine, and governance. They prepared detailed plans for expanding and improving the settlements, but Jake knew that data and presentations might not be enough. Admiral Zextar had already made his decision based on Federation policy, not colonial reality. Changing his mind would require more than facts. It would require showing him that some things were worth preserving even if they did not fit standard procedures. Kate Sullivan called another community meeting as the 30-day deadline approached. The mood was determined but somber. Everyone knew they were facing the fight of their lives. Kate addressed the crowd with quiet strength. Friends, in 15 days, Federation ships will return to evacuate us from our home. They believe we are a failed colony that cannot survive without constant support. They are wrong. We have not just survived, but thrived. We have created something here that the galaxy needs to see. We will show them that humans do not abandon what they have built together. The crowd responded with unanimous approval. These People had survived 22 years of isolation and struggle. They would not give up their home without fighting for it with everything they had. Jake Martinez made a decision that could destroy his career, but he did not care anymore. Standing in his quarters aboard the New Horizon, he composed a message to Federation Command. He was formally requesting permission to assist the New Haven colonists in resisting the evacuation order. Lisa Parker knocked on his door and entered without waiting for permission. "Captain, are you sure about this? If you go against Admiral Zextar, you could face court-martial." Jake looked at his navigator and friend. "Lisa, these people have shown me what humans can accomplish when they refuse to give up. I cannot abandon them now just to protect my career. Will you stand with me?" Lisa smiled and nodded. "Captain, I have been thinking the same thing. What the colonists have built here is too important to lose. Count me in." Sam Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. He had obviously been listening to their conversation. "Captain, if we are going to help these people, we need to move fast. I have some ideas about how to upgrade their infrastructure, but we will need time to implement them." Amy Watson joined them carrying her medical supplies. "Captain, I have been training local volunteers in advanced medical procedures. If we can establish a proper medical center here, it would serve all 5 settlements and prove the colony is viable long-term." Jake felt proud of his crew. They were risking their careers to do what was right. He activated the ship's communication system and sent his message to Federation Command. Then he contacted Kate Sullivan on the planet's surface. "Kate, this is Captain Martinez. My crew and I are going to help you prove that New Haven deserves to survive. We have 15 days to show Admiral Zextar that this colony is not just viable, but valuable." Kate's voice showed relief and gratitude. "Captain Martinez, thank you. What do you need from us?" Jake had been thinking about this for days. "Kate, we need to demonstrate 3 things. First, that your colony is economically sustainable. Second, that your technology and infrastructure are reliable. Third, that your society offers something unique that would be lost if you were relocated." Next morning, Jake and his crew transported down to New Haven with equipment and supplies from their ship. They were met by Pete Johnson and a team of local engineers who were eager to begin upgrading the colony's systems. Sam Rodriguez and Pete Johnson immediately began working on a new orbital communications array. The temporary repairs from weeks earlier had restored basic communication, but now they needed something that could handle heavy traffic and serve as a relay station for other colonies in the sector. "Captain, if we can turn New Haven into a regional communication hub, it would prove the colony has strategic value to the Federation. Other isolated settlements could use our relay station to maintain contact with galactic civilization." Jake watched the 2 engineers work together and was amazed by their creativity. Sam provided advanced components, while Pete contributed ingenious solutions for making everything work with local materials. Together, they were building something better than either could have managed alone. Amy Watson established her medical center in a building that had been used for storage. She worked with local volunteers to create treatment facilities that could handle everything from routine checkups to emergency surgery. Her goal was to prove that frontier medicine could be just as effective as treatment on major worlds. "Dr. Martinez, I want to show you something important." One of the local volunteers was a woman named Susan Gray, who had been trained as a nurse before the colony lost contact with the Federation. "Amy, these people have maintained medical knowledge and skills for over 20 years without outside support. Their folk remedies for local diseases are actually more effective than standard Federation treatments." Lisa Parker spent her time documenting the colony's achievements and preparing a comprehensive report for Admiral Zextar. She interviewed every settlement leader and many ordinary colonists to understand how their society actually functioned. "Captain, what I am finding is remarkable. These people have created a direct democracy that actually works. Every major decision is made by consensus among all 5 settlements. They have eliminated most of the bureaucracy that bogs down Federation colonies, but they have maintained order and stability." Ben Clark took Lisa on a tour of the agricultural areas to show her their food production systems. The colonists had developed crop rotation techniques that actually improved soil quality over time. They had also created integrated farming that combined food production with manufacturing and waste processing. "Miss Parker, we produce 20%. more food per acre than the average Federation agricultural world. We also generate zero waste because everything is recycled or composted. If other colonies adopted our methods, the Federation could reduce food imports and environmental damage significantly. Maria Santos demonstrated the manufacturing workshop, where colonists created tools and equipment from salvaged materials. Her team had developed techniques for refining metals and producing electronic components using only resources available on New Haven. Captain Martinez, we have learned to make almost everything we need right here. We do not require constant shipments of supplies like most colonies. In fact, we could export manufactured goods to other settlements if we had reliable transportation. Jake was beginning to see the bigger picture. The colonists had not just survived isolation, they had used it to develop better ways of organizing human society. Their democracy was more responsive than Federation bureaucracy. Their technology was more sustainable than standard colonial equipment. Their economy was more self-sufficient than most established worlds. Pete Johnson and Sam Rodriguez completed work on the new communications array after 10 days of intensive effort. The moment they activated the system, Jake knew they had achieved something special. The array was powerful enough to reach ships throughout the sector and sophisticated enough to handle complex data transmissions. Sam looked at the readings with satisfaction. Captain, this array is actually superior to the communication systems on most major worlds. If Admiral Zextar shuts down this colony, he will be destroying infrastructure that could benefit the entire sector. Amy Watson achieved her own breakthrough when she successfully treated a patient with a rare genetic condition using a combination of Federation medicine and local plant extracts. The treatment was more effective and had fewer side effects than standard therapy available on major worlds. Captain, I believe the medical knowledge developed here could revolutionize treatment for several diseases. These people have had 20 years to experiment with local biological resources, and they have made discoveries that Federation scientists have missed. Lisa Parker completed her report on colonial governance and presented it to Jake and the settlement leaders. Her findings were impressive and would be hard for Admiral Zextar to ignore. Captain New Haven has achieved political stability that most Federation colonies never reach. They have eliminated corruption, eliminated poverty, and eliminated crime. Their education system produces citizens who are more skilled and more committed to their community than the average Federation resident. Jake reviewed all the data his crew had gathered and felt confident they had made their case. New Haven was not a failed colony that needed to be evacuated. It was a successful society that could serve as a model for other human settlements. But Jake also knew that Admiral Zextar would not be easily convinced. The Admiral represented a Federation bureaucracy that valued conformity and control over innovation and independence. Proving that New Haven deserved to survive would require more than just presenting facts and data. Kate Sullivan called a final community meeting before Admiral Zextar returned. The mood was nervous but determined. Everyone knew they had done everything possible to prepare for the confrontation that was coming. Kate stood before the assembled colonists with quiet confidence. Friends, tomorrow we face the biggest challenge in our colony's history. Captain Martinez and his crew have helped us document our achievements and improve our capabilities. We have shown that New Haven is not just viable, but valuable. Now we must convince the Federation that some things are worth preserving, even if they do not fit standard procedures. Jake stood up to address the crowd. Citizens of New Haven, you have shown me what humans can accomplish when they work together and refuse to give up. You have created something here that the entire galaxy needs to see. Tomorrow we will show Admiral Zextar that this colony represents the best of human civilization. The crowd responded with applause and determination. These people had survived every challenge thrown at them. They would not surrender their home without a fight. Admiral Zextar arrived at New Haven with 6 Federation ships and a full evacuation fleet. He expected to find a desperate failing colony ready to accept relocation. Instead, his sensors detected a thriving world with upgraded infrastructure and active communication networks. Jake Martinez waited in the main settlement square alongside Kate Sullivan and the other colony leaders. They had spent the morning preparing their presentation, but everyone knew this confrontation would determine the future of New Haven. Admiral Zextar transported down with a security detail and several Federation officials. His 4 arms moved restlessly as he surveyed the neat buildings and well-maintained facilities. This was clearly not what he had expected to find. Colony Administrator Sullivan, You have had 30 days to prepare for evacuation. I trust your people are ready to begin relocation procedures. Kate stepped forward with calm confidence. Admiral Zextar, we respectfully decline your evacuation order. New Haven is a thriving colony that contributes to galactic civilization. We request formal recognition as an independent member world. The Admiral's expression showed surprise and irritation. Administrator Sullivan, the Federation has already determined that this colony is not viable. Individual settlements cannot simply declare independence from galactic authority. Jake moved to stand beside Kate. Admiral, with respect, the Federation's determination was made without current information. We have documented significant achievements that prove this colony's value to galactic civilization. Admiral Zextar looked at Jake with obvious displeasure. Captain Martinez, you were ordered not to interfere with colonial operations. Your actions constitute insubordination and possible treason. Jake met the Admiral's gaze without flinching. Admiral, I have followed my oath to protect human life and preserve human civilization. The people of New Haven represent the best of human achievement and deserve Federation support, not persecution. Kate activated a holographic display that showed data from all 5 settlements. Admiral, please examine our achievements over the past 30 days. Our new communications array can serve as a regional hub for isolated colonies throughout this sector. Our medical center has developed treatments that could benefit millions of Federation citizens. Our agricultural systems produce more food per acre than most established worlds while maintaining environmental sustainability. Pete Johnson stepped forward to explain the technical achievements. Admiral, we have created infrastructure that is more reliable and more efficient than standard Federation colonial equipment. Our recycling systems achieve near-zero waste, while our manufacturing capabilities allow us to produce most of what we need locally. Amy Watson presented her medical findings. Admiral, the treatments developed here using local biological resources are superior to standard Federation medicine for several conditions. The medical knowledge accumulated by this colony represents 20 years of research that would be lost if the population is relocated. Ben Clark explained their agricultural innovations. Admiral, our farming techniques actually improve soil quality over time while producing higher yields than conventional methods. If other colonies adopted our approaches, the Federation could reduce food imports and environmental damage throughout the galaxy. Maria Santos demonstrated manufacturing techniques that turned waste materials into useful products. Admiral, we have achieved industrial sustainability that most major worlds have never reached. Our society proves that human colonies can be completely self-sufficient while maintaining high living standards. Lisa Parker presented her analysis of colonial governance. Admiral, New Haven has eliminated most of the social problems that plague other Federation worlds. They have no crime, no poverty, and no political corruption. Their democratic system is more responsive to citizen needs than standard Federation bureaucracy. Admiral Zextar studied the data with growing frustration. His mission had been simple: evacuate a failed colony and process the population for relocation. Instead, he was facing a successful society that challenged basic Federation assumptions about colonial management. The Admiral's chief aide whispered something in his ear. Admiral Zextar nodded and activated his own holographic display. Administrator Sullivan, even if your achievements are genuine, this colony has been classified as failed under Federation regulations. I do not have authority to reverse that classification, regardless of current conditions. Jake had anticipated this response. Admiral, there is precedent for reclassifying colonial status based on new information. The Federation Charter provides procedures for independent status requests from successful settlements. Admiral Zextar's voice became cold and threatening. Captain Martinez, the Federation does not recognize colonial independence movements. Any attempt to resist evacuation will be met with force. Kate Sullivan stepped between Jake and the Admiral. Admiral Zextar, we are not rebels or revolutionaries. We are loyal Federation citizens who have built something valuable under impossible circumstances. We simply ask for the right to continue building our home. The Admiral looked around at the assembled colonists and Federation crew members. Everyone was watching him carefully, waiting to see how he would respond. Jake could see that Admiral Zextar was facing a decision that would define his own career and reputation. Administrator Sullivan, you have 30 minutes to make a final decision. Either you accept voluntary relocation or I will begin forced evacuation procedures. Kate looked at her fellow colonists and saw the same determination in every face that had sustained them through 22 years of isolation and struggle. Admiral, our answer is no. We will not abandon our home. Admiral Zexatar activated his communication device to contact the evacuation fleet. Prepare for forced relocation procedures. All colonists are to be processed for transport within 6 hours. Jake made his own decision. Admiral, I formally protest this action and request immediate communication with Federation Command. The evacuation of New Haven violates the Federation Charter and represents a crime against human civilization. The Admiral turned to face Jake with obvious anger. Captain Martinez, you are under arrest for insubordination and interference with Federation operations. Security detail place him in custody. Before the security team could move, Sam Rodriguez activated the new communications array. The powerful signal reached Federation Command and civilian news networks throughout the sector. Within minutes, the confrontation at New Haven was being broadcast across the galaxy. Amy Watson stood beside Kate and the other colonists. Admiral, the entire galaxy is now watching what happens here. Are you prepared to use force against peaceful citizens who have committed no crime except building a successful society? Lisa Parker added her own challenge. Admiral, if you evacuate this colony, you will be destroying infrastructure and knowledge that could benefit millions of Federation citizens. History will judge your decision. Admiral Zextar found himself facing a situation that had spiraled beyond his control. What had been a routine evacuation was now a galactic incident with thousands of witnesses. His next decision would be scrutinized by Federation Command civilian authorities and news organizations throughout known space. The Admiral's communication device activated with an incoming message from Federation Command. Admiral Zextar, you are ordered to halt all evacuation procedures pending review by the Colonial Status Commission. Do not take any action against colonists or Federation personnel until further notice. Jake felt relief flood through him, but he knew the battle was not over yet. Admiral, this gives us time to present our case to proper authorities. The Colonial Status Commission will review all the evidence and make a fair determination about New Haven's future. Admiral Zextar looked defeated and frustrated, but he had no choice except to follow orders from his superiors. All evacuation procedures are suspended. This colony will remain under Federation observation until the Commission reaches a decision. Kate Sullivan addressed her people with quiet triumph. Friends, we have won the right to present our case to the galaxy. We have shown that humans do not abandon what they have built together. New Haven will survive and prosper. 6 months later, the Colonial Status Commission rendered their decision. New Haven was granted independent status as the first rediscovered colony to achieve self-governance. Jake Martinez was promoted to Admiral and given command of a new Deep Space Rescue Division, tasked with finding other forgotten colonies. The New Horizon departed New Haven on a mission to locate other isolated settlements that might be struggling in forgotten corners of the galaxy. As they left orbit, Jake looked back at the thriving world below and smiled. Kate Sullivan had been right. Humans do not abandon what they have built together. And sometimes, when the galaxy forgets about them, they build something even better than what came before. The galaxy was vast and full of lost colonies waiting to be rediscovered. Jake and his crew would find them and ensure that no human settlement would ever be forgotten again. Because that is what humans do for each other when everything seems hopeless. They refuse to give up.